from a plain man to an agricultural scientist. Good. We continue to look at Jacob. He's still running away from his brother who wants to kill him. We look at the fact that Rebekah meddled in the prophecy and put Jacob in a bad position with his brother. So Jacob continued his journey, and he came to the land of the people of the east. And when I read this, I just did not know why the author chose to do this. But when you look back in Genesis, Adam was sent out of the garden, he went east. Cain left of the garden, he went east. Everyone keep going east, east, east. And we're going to look on it later on. I've got some maps for us to look on it. The matter of east is only because they could not go west. If they go west, they're going to go into the Mediterranean Sea. So they continued east all the time. So the author this time said, and he came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field. And lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a great stone was up on the well's mouth. And thither were all the flocks gathered, and they rolled a stone from the well's mouth and watered the sheep, and put the stone again upon the well's mouth in its place. Now, let's look at what Jacob is observing here, right? On the screen, he's traveling. He's at a place in the east. He saw a well and he saw some people, but he is observing them. Jacob is a man who observed, and no wonder why he became such a skilled scientist later on. We're going to see that. So Jacob observed, one, there was a single well that was there. Of course, he might not be used to this well. So there's a well. He saw that there were 3 sets of sheep waiting to be watered. He also saw a great stone. Then, like a community, it seemed some men would roll away the stone, and they all watered the sheep as one. They went back after they were through watering the sheep. They now covered the well. So Jacob is observing that this was a united culture, a united people. They did everything together. And so the Bible would tell us that he observed this. And again, it is building up to the character of the person Jacob is. His mother isn't around anymore to say to him, listen to me, boy, listen to me. He's now on his own, and he's now learning on his own, and he's now observing. Now, on the map that you're looking at, right? Of course, the maps that I'm presenting, right, they are from Google Images. To your left, which is to the west, you'll see Israel. So where I'm pointing at number 1, this is where Jacob is leaving from number 1. He's leaving from Beersheba, and you know that Beersheba came around as a result of Isaac, right? Beersheba came out because of Isaac, right? So this is where he is, and this is where his family is living, and he's leaving from Beersheba, and he's moving on up to Bethel. You remember last week, we said that he went to Bethel. He would have seen a ladder going up and down, up and down. Not the ladder going up and down, angels going up and down the ladder, and then the Lord spoke to him, right? Now, he left from Bethel, and he's going over here to the east. If you notice, this is where Iraq is. So this is the journey he's making. Let me give us another map. Oh, by the way, before we get to the other map. So the West Bank is just above Bethel, north of Bethel. And of course, Gaza Strip is way over here to the west. And these lands, it's just funny, right? These lands are still the battleground from forever. It's just a battleground, right? Observe the other map, please. You have Beersheba, we got Bethel, and we got Padan Aram, right, where Jacob is going to get married. I just want you to have a view as to the journey the man is making. He's moving from Beersheba. He went up to Luz, then changed the name from Luz. And look at the distance he's walking. Very far. Let's look at another map we have here. All right. Now, this place that's called Mesopotamia. It is called Mesopotamia, and the word Mesopotamia means the land between two rivers. The land between two rivers. And the two rivers are we know are the river Euphrates and the river Tigris. And you know that this river Euphrates is mentioned in Genesis chapter 2. And this same river Euphrates is in the book of Revelation. So when people talk about the river Euphrates is being dried up, not true. Not until the sixth trumpet and the sixth bowl. So where Jacob is going, it's called modern day Iraq or Babylon. So I don't want us to feel as if we are distant from the geographical region that the Bible characters live. They all live here. And we are experiencing Bible prophecy. And Bible prophecy brings us right back to the central area. So Jacob now is traveling to Iraq, and so that's where Laban is living. Laban is living in Iraq. Remember, that's where Abraham actually came from. And so we know that Abraham came from Iraq. So all Israelites come from Iraq. Of course, we call them Israelites because their name was changed from through Jacob. But then they are all Iraqis. So when we talk about who is better than and who is worse than, we're no better than. God would have given his people a name so he could identify them and talk with them, right? I think I wanted you to note also that this is where he's traveling from, all the way over here, so right, from Israel to Iraq. No, so Jacob is at this well, and he said to them, my brethren, where do you come from? They said, we come from Haran. Now, Haran is where Laban lives. So they said, we come from Haran. And he said to them, you all know Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, yeah, we know the brother, man, we know him. And he said to them, is he okay? And they said, he is well. And look, Rachel, his daughter, come with the sheep. I call Rachel a shepherdess, but a shepherd. And I call this the meeting of the two shepherds. And the reason I'm calling it the meeting of the two shepherds is simply this. Jacob is not a shepherd. The resume for Jacob read like this. And the boys grew, that's Esau and Jacob, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. That's Esau. He was a man of the field. But that's what Jacob, he was a plain man who lived in tents. He is his mother's boy. He's a plain man. So I really put in brackets shepherds, because it's I want to create a little sarcasm here, because Jacob is not known for anything named sheep rearing. But yet, Jacob would have said to these shepherds, lo, it is high day. In other words, it is midday, or it is still early day. Jacob, who's a plain man, not a shepherd, is instructing the shepherds. It is still day. Neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. You shouldn't herd them together. They should be together right now. So tell you what, water the sheep and go and feed them. Jacob is giving advice to people who rear cattle. Now, I don't hold him as a suspect. He might be a plain man who live in the tent, but I believe he would have known about rearing animals through his father, Isaac, as well as through his brother Esau. I do believe that. And I believe that is the same attitude he's going to use to beat Laban to his own game about rearing the animals. And that's how he's going to get more animals than the others. So I do believe that even though he's not known as a shepherd, he's given advice here, and it sounds sound. He's saying it is midday. It's not time for them to be gathered together, water the sheep, and go and feed them. I just classify him as a shepherd here because he's not, but he's giving advice. And they said, we cannot until all the flocks be gathered together, until they roll a stone from the well's mouth, then we water the sheep. I really want to trust Jacob's advice. It's a community that is united. They would have done their things one way, but somehow Jacob seemed to have something else coming up. Later on, we'll see what it is. And while he was speaking, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was the one in charge of them. She was the shepherdess. I'm making up that word if there's no such word. She's the one taking care of her father's sheep. And it came to pass when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. You realize that the young men, right? The men earlier on would have said to Jacob, we can't feed the sheep as yet. We can't give them water. We have to wait on the others to come to roll it away. It suggests that more than one person had to push the stone away. But I'm forced to think that there was this burst of adrenaline, this burst of energy in Jacob. And I'm not telling that this is what happened. I'm just reading into the fact that when he saw, then he went and he rolled the stone away. When in fact the men suggest that it was more than one person who had to roll the stone away and put it back together. But then when he saw, he's like a new man. He's a new man right now, right? He has a burst of energy. And Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and he cried. By the way, this kiss here is not it's not a lip kissing thing, right? It's more of a greeting thing, how you greet people. And Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and he wept. You know how, I don't know how to explain this, but this boy's running away from his brother. He's traveling night and he's traveling day. He doesn't know what's going to happen, the outcome of his traveling, the journey. He doesn't know. And to see a family member that he has never, ever met in his life, man, that man will push away any stone. That man will water any amount of cattle. He was happy to see family away from his family. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother. It's not a lie, right? This is just how they speak then, because they didn't have the word cousin. And, we have word like grandparents and all of that. They did not have all of these words. So instead of saying cousin or uncle and so on, right? He just said that he was her father's brother. And that he was Rebecca's son. So clearly this is how they talk. And she ran and told her father. Rebecca is a lady who takes care of sheep, and she's an athlete likewise. And it came to pass when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, that he too ran and met him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. That is Jacob telling Laban about everything. I don't know how much is everything, but he told him a lot of things. Of course, catching up on what happened with his sister and all of that. And Laban said to him, surely you are bone and my flesh. You belong to me, a family. And so Jacob lived there for a space of a month. No, they're there for the month. Now Laban is going to get into argument with Jacob now. You know, after 2 weeks, I guess your visitational right expire. Now you got to really contribute now. And Laban said unto Jacob, because thou art my brother. So the same term come up again. Thou art my brother, not nephew or such and such, but thou art my brother. Shouldest thou therefore serve me for nothing? No, man, no, man, no, man. Tell me what you want in wages. Tell me what you want, because I'm not going to let you work and I don't give you something. So tell me your wages. What is it that you want? And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder one was Leah. The name of the younger was Rachel. Leah had dreamy eyes. I just thinking made that tender eye might mean dreamy eye, but then the word but seemed to contrast it and said Rachel was beautiful. So I don't know if tender means ugly or what it meant, but in my own eyesight, I'm just thinking tender eye in our care, in our time, might just mean dreamy eyes. Maybe that's it, maybe it's not. But Rachel was beautiful and Jacob favored her. And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. Please note, Laban is not the one making up the word 7 or 7 years. It is Jacob who said, I will do this for 7 years. So he made a deal with his brother Esau. He's making a deal with his uncle Laban. So he said, I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. So stay with us, live, and then you get her, right? And Jacob served 7 years to Rachel. And they seemed unto him, what a few days. That's what love do to you, man. A few days, it felt like, for he loved her. So yes, he could do many more years and it still feel like a 2 days. Of course, I guess they're in each other's presence. And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled that I may go in unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. Now, I have a very strong suspicion right here that it's going to be a wedding night. You bring your visitors in, bring them in like a council, right? It seemed to me. You bring them in and you put on a big feast because it's wedding night. And that's what you do. You know, it's a big thing. I guess the feast is going to last for 7 days too. So Laban gathered together all the men. And they came and they had a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to Jacob. And he went in unto her. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah, his maid, for a handmaid. Laban know what he's doing. He met with the men. He had a feast. Apparently, Jacob is the only one who did not get the memo. So it came to pass in the morning, Jacob realized it was Leah he slept with. And he said to Laban, what is this that you've done to me? That's the same thing Pharaoh said to Abraham, you know. What is this that you have done to me? Did I not serve thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou tricked me? And Laban said, oh no, brother, it's not like that over here. So it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Do you have to tell me now that Laban never know all of this? Laban did not tell Jacob this. Laban knew Jacob was asking for the younger girl. And now he's saying, not so. So then he make a new deal with Jacob. Fulfill Leah's 1 week of party. And we, now notice the we and I believe it's a men in the community, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me another 7 years. So the guy's going to work 14 years. But hold on. And Jacob did so and fulfilled the week for Leah's celebration. And he gave him Rachel, his daughter, to wife also. So it appears as if that Jacob would have served 7 years and 7 days and he got Rachel. I do know there are many persons who say that he worked for 14 years, then he got Rachel. It doesn't sound like that in this new deal. It appears that he's going to work the 7 years that should have been for Rachel. He got Leah, but now Laban is saying, tell you what, work 7 more days, which is the 1 week, and we'll give her Rachel on top of what you got before. And so now Laban would have now given up Rachel into the hands of Jacob. And Laban gave Rachel, his daughter, to Bilhah, his handmaid, to be her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. So now at the end of the 7 days, he would have gotten Rachel, and he's going to work 7 more years before he got released from that bond. If we're supposed to put this in an applicable way, Jacob started a new life at Bethel. That's where he met God. That's where he met his vow. And he told God, God, if you bring me back to this place, you'll be my God. He made that covenant with God. And we, from time to time, when we have had difficult times, difficult things happening to us, challenging things, especially when it's like sickness, and we always make bargains with God and say, God, if you do this for me, I will serve you. If you do this to me, I will be the best Christian. Well, Jacob made a covenant likewise with God. He wanted peace with his brother and he wanted peace in his family. So, bad things can happen to good people. And not because you're a Christian means that bad things will happen to you. I might say especially because you're a Christian, bad things will happen to us. And sometimes as Christians, we wonder, why me? He worked 7 years for the wife he wanted. Then he worked 7 more years just for Laban's sake. And in all of this, Jacob did not hate Laban. And we don't see any kind of nasty attitude coming from Jacob. As Christians, people will abuse us. People will misuse us. People will use us like nothing. And sometimes you become like the garbage cans for people. You become that bin to receive their problems. Jacob in all of this, we will not see it. We will not see it. He just go to the guy and say, okay, where's my wife? But we don't have this bad attitude coming from him. So you'd have heard earlier on that real things happen to real people in a real world. Even though you're a Christian, you're a Christian, we're Christians. Don't sit down and expect ideal things to happen for you. We are in a real world, real things that going to happen to us. Rebecca put Jacob in problem. And look at what Laban has done to the brother. The man wanted 1 wife, he ended up with 2. Man wanted to work for 7 years, he had to work 14. Sometimes you are not the reason for the trouble that you're in or the place you're in your lives. Sometimes people cause it. But even then, we must keep a cool head. We must remain as a Christian. It's not easy, It's not easy. And nobody can tell you that. And the man who wants to live an idealistic Christian life needs to wake up. Real things happen to real people in a real world. Because you are a Christian does not mean that you're in one bubble where God put you in one bubble and nothing can happen to you. Things will happen to us as Christians. Jacob, I see him as an innocent boy from the days he's with his mother. But people keep on putting him in a problem. His mother put him in a problem. Esau put him in a problem. Laban put him in a problem. As Christians, Sometimes you're not the ones you're not the one responsible for your own problems. People put you in it. But even though we're in it, we can still serve God, and we should still serve God. You see, Abel died, but he died a righteous man. Noah was rescued by a boat. He was in trouble. Abraham had his trouble just the same, maybe more. Isaac, oh my gosh, Isaac had his problems too. So why do you think that because we're Christians, we're not going to have problems and everything going to go smooth sailing? Why do you think that because we're Christian, God is going to pay more attention to us than he did all of these people? Why do you think that because we're Christians, God is going to favor us more than anybody else? You think, say, God is going to what? Prevent you from having problems, prevent me from having problems? No. But you know, he wants us to live as righteous people in those problems. And if he will take us out, he will take us out. And if he won't take us out, we still have to live good inside of those problems and live good with our Labans too. God is going to, I think maybe next week's session, we're going to see, God is going to give Jacob wisdom, because Laban is going to make certain that Jacob live with nothing. Remember, you know, Abraham, Isaac, God gave to them, God added to them, even when they were in problems with other people. And yes, he said that he's going to multiply Jacob, and God would have made his covenant to you. Regardless of what people do to you, God will never rescind his covenant. He will never take it back. And I'm just imploring you, encouraging you, that regardless of what people put you in, still serve God and don't hate them. Don't hate them. I don't think that Jacob was really pleased with what Laban did to him. But you know, we must remember that not because we're Christians, we must ask God, why me? Right? Jacob was now facing his troubles. And you know, for the next few weeks, we're going to see how he lives in it and how he comes out of it. But I must also say to you this, what your testimony should be like. There are some persons who believe that God make bad things happen to them. I really believe that we need to stop putting God in those bad places. You know, for example, like Jonah. God is not a bully to be beating up people. He's a sovereign God. And he wants Jonah to serve him. He's going to make Jonah to serve him. I don't believe that my God is going to make bad things happen to me. No, I don't believe that. But I do believe that bad things can happen to me. But I don't believe that God's going to let me go through bad things for me to get a testimony. What I do believe is this. Because the bad things happen to me, I'm going to use the bad thing. I'm going to use that occasion and do good things for God. So I will never tell a man that, oh, God caused me to meet in a car accident, break up my bones, put me in the hospital for 8 months. I couldn't pay my bills and all of that. And when I was there, I met an old man and I spoke to him about Jesus. And the gentleman says he's going to serve God. And I said, praise the Lord, brothers. I am not going to tell nobody that God put me in a no car crash to meet one man. But I believe that real things happen to real people in a real world. I can meet in a one car accident or any kind of accident. I can end up in the hospital. And as a result of me being in the hospital because of that accident, I take the opportunity to serve God. These events that were happening to Jacob, I don't see the hands of God in it. I see the hands of men in it. But in the midst of that, Jacob still keep his composure. And he's coming out with that testimony. He's coming out with that testimony. And I'm telling us, God is not a malicious God that because you sin as a child, he's going to take a big stick and clobber you. No. Many times, many of you might ask the question, God, how come I do all of these good things and you don't turn up and do good things to me? You know, do things, but as I sin, so you make bad things happen to me. You know, because maybe somebody puts it in our head that when bad things happen to us because we sin, it's God doing it. Well, there are Christians who are living good, faithful life and bad things happen to them too. Jacob is not in the position because he put himself in it or in them. He's been put in it by others. I'll share with us some testimonies or verses with testimonies, right? In Revelation chapter 6, we're talking about the martyrs. The Bible says that when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. God did not put them through that. But because they went through it, they came out with a testimony. They kept the word of God. They were willing to die for the word of God. And for the testimony which they held, they died for that. This was not God killing them. People were going to kill them. But they held the word and they held on to their testimony. And I'm saying that regardless of what people might put you through or put us through, we must still hold on to the word and have a testimony. And you know, it is after they're dead that people can talk about their faithfulness. Here's another verse. And when the two witnesses shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, the two of them, and shall overcome them and kill them. Do you know when the beast killed them? When they were through giving their testimony, talking about Jesus Christ. Not before, but after. Am I going to tell you that God killed them? No. No, the devil did. But they had a testimony and they shared it. And when they were finished, God knew this was it. He took them home. Final verse I'm sharing with us. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto death. Regardless of what you are going through, we might expect ideal things and pleasantries to happen to us as Christians. Prosperity, like pastors telling us, may never come our way. But why are you serving God for prosperity? Why? Why? You don't need to serve God for prosperity. You just need to serve, we just need to serve God. Keep his word and have a testimony. Jacob, the things are happening to the man. They're happening to him. He was happy that he saw new family members. He saw Rachel. He's going to meet his uncle. He met them and all of that. Things was chirpy and nice and all of that. The man now come and said, let's make a deal. Jacob in his good, I said, look here, I'll work 7 years. And that man abused the boy's generosity and sincerity. He abused it. He knew he was going to give the man the wrong woman. He knew that. And then he said, oh, that's not our culture. But he didn't tell the guy that before. I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, as I wrap up this part of the session, there are things that will happen to you that you never caused on yourself. So stop beat up yourself and beat down on yourself. Yeah, you never looked through some things you couldn't see it, because if a man decides to deceive you, they're going to deceive you. If somebody come to trick you, they're going to trick you. Even you look on the trick, they're going to trick you. Doesn't mean that you have to be tricked, but they come with that to do to you. Don't beat up on yourself. Jacob kept a composure. Later on, you're going to see how that same good attitude he have is going to bring him blessings and peace, even with his brother.